All right, everybody. Thank you once again for joining me for another InVarch weekly community call. We have a lot of exciting things to talk about this morning, and I also want to just start off doing this the same way that I always like to start these things off. Just sharing like how my week's been, how things have been going, and then give the floor to anybody else who might want that opportunity to discuss like how their week's been, what they've done, that sort of thing. I apologize in advance if I seem a little like under the weather. This morning has not been the best for me. I woke up a little sick, was like throwing up and stuff, and have just had some general stomach unsettledness. But not gonna miss the InVarch weekly community call with you guys. I wanted to give you guys the information, so I'm gonna power through it. Um, Going right on into that. Aside from that, this week has been very exciting. We've had a lot of like very, I would say, like not just like necessarily like super crucial developments for the outsideness of the project, but as far as just like the internetness of the team and things like that, this has been a really good week. We've had a lot of like inward discussion that was very good. We've had a lot of scheming, like planning for the project that we've done this week. All in all, I'd say it's been a very, very productive, overall healthy week. And we're very excited to get things rolling. I feel like we constantly have like more like exciting news to share with you guys on a regular basis. Um, and it seems like now, since we're going to no longer be doing the weekly Wednesdays, you guys will come to these weekly community calls for most of that, like weekly information, that weekly alpha, and they will just be doing a one-time monthly progress report starting now. So, just everyone keep that in the back of your mind. Um, One second. Just mute for a second. I'll unmute you in a little bit. But anyways, getting right into that, guys. So basically, we had a bunch of things planned out, and I'm gonna talk about them like going into what we're doing. So I won't talk about it now. But all in all, it was a really great week. Lots of exciting things got done, and there's been a lot of like positive improvement internally and externally. So all in all, that's how our week's been. Does anybody want to take the opportunity to take over the mic and say something yourself? Let everybody know how your week has gone, etc. Now is your time to do so. Please unmute yourself and let everybody know how you've been. Okay. I wasn't sure if Picky was going to talk. He's unmuted, but didn't appear so. All right. Well, if no one wants to share how their week went, we can just dive right on into some of the alpha. So, some immediate events for you guys. There was post Kusama onboarding. Has been a runtime upgrade. Let me discuss a little bit of that with you guys here. Sorry, my voice is wanting to give out on me. Okay, so this past Monday, August 15th, the InVarch development team recently did a runtime upgrade on the Tinkernet network. And what this does is that it fixes a slight issue that we had with IP tokens, the fungible tokens that are pegged to an IP set. There was a mistake with the quantity that remained after burning assets. Still, it was immediately detected, the fixes were implemented, and we conducted a runtime upgrade. Thanks to the Substrate framework, so everything is now looking great thus far. But of course, you guys are going to need tokens to use Tinkernet. And that kind of brings us into, I'll get into that actually in just a second. I want to highlight something else. So once again, in approximately 2 months since Tinkernet's onboarding, so we've been connected since the 8th of August. So OSIF will be going live. So for those of you who will be getting your Tinker trying to get this mouthful out. Your Tinker tokens, I can almost never say that. Your Tinker tokens, you'll be able to actually, use them with this functionality as well. Be able to use it for on-chain innovation funding. I have provided that in the past. Let me just go back and find it for those individuals who might be new listeners here. We do have an article covering and expanding OSIF. I'm not going to deep dive into that for you guys now, but I will try really quickly to go back and find the link in this chat. and just redrop it. Okay, here we go. Bingo. I'm going to redrop this link in the chat box for anybody who's interested in basically reviewing or catching back up with OSIF. Very, very important, if you haven't, that you are familiar with this protocol, because once again, it's going to be going live on Tinkernet very soon. 2 months is really not that much time, especially in the crypto world. Everything moves fast. So I would just say be aware, be prepared for it. There's not much else there, but the article is very thorough, explaining what OSIF is, what you can expect from it, how it will change things. There's 3 different IP staking mechanisms: IP staking, IP donations, and IP farming. But once again, you can catch up on that linked article that I just dropped if you're interested in actually catching up on that. So, without ado, today is the day, everybody. I was joking last night with the team and said that if I was feeling good, I would pop a bottle of champagne and spray it everywhere for the recording and get some laughs, but not feeling so hot. But it is in need of celebration. Today is the day that everybody who contributed to the Tinkernet crowd loan will be able to go and get your Tinker tokens. So I was hoping that this would have been completed before I was awake. Unfortunately, it hasn't been completed yet, but it is going to be completed today. You guys will be able to expect an article being released, and I will, of course, tag everybody. Everyone will be made aware that you all will be able to read the article. It will detail how you're able to claim your tokens, where to go, how to use the UI that we've built, and all these other things. It's going to be a good day, guys. Very, very excited. I'm not even feeling well, but just talking about that gets me excited myself, because it's finally seeing some community rewardment. Aside from the NFTs and things that we've done, this is truly rewarding to those of you who've supported us, who contributed to the crowd loan. It's just so refreshing to finally get to reward you guys with some contributions. And not to mention to any individuals who are watching this recording later or currently listening now, who are also our ambassadors, you currently have a week left to basically opt into an exchange of Varch token for Tinker, 25% of your total earned Varch. So you'll still have 75% of your total earned Varch to remain in Varch tokens, but you can exchange 25% for Tinker sooner because excuse me, let me get a drink. Oh, that's better. At this time, before we went forward with Tinkernet and things because as you all may know, if you guys were here earlier, we actually were kind of against doing a Kusama parachain. We didn't want to, and then we did a community vote. The community strongly supported a Kusama parachain, and then there was some back and forth, and we actually ended up still saying, no, we're going to not do that. After some back and forth on the team and expressing the community's interest in pursuing that as a parachain, things changed. So thanks once again for all of your all's support with that. Your all's voices did project an opinion on this, of course, and we ended up going forward with it. So since Tinkernet now exists, it's onboarded, the Invarch TGE and us seeking a parachain on Polkadot, that right now is still to be determined. Before that, before Tinkernet, we had been saying that it was almost a guarantee that Invarch would exist before the end of September. So I just wanted to clarify for anybody who might have heard me say that, that is no longer the case simply because of Tinkernet. Now our goal is to make sure that all of the protocols that Invarch will also use as functionality on Polkadot are absolutely flawless before we seek a parachain. So as you see, we're already trying to implement runtime upgrades when we're detecting errors, things like this of that nature. So when everything is 100% perfect, that's when you guys can more or less expect us to go for that pursuit. Now, ideally, we would like to do it before the end of this year still, but that's not a guarantee. I'm just putting that out there so the community knows, it's still on our radar. And there may be, if we get to where we're like, yes, we're solid. This is going to work 100%, no errors. And because as you all know, and as we know, you cannot play around with intellectual property. It's the whole point. So once we know that everything is flawless, if there's an opportunity for us to just jump in there without much like pushback or like need for support, we will do that. But the whole point is like, this is a community project. We call ourselves, one of the like key pioneers for IP assets in blockchain, like in all of the blockchain space. So for us to not take this seriously and make sure everything is 100% secure before we start taking on all these different IP assets and protecting things and guaranteeing all these things for all of our individuals, we have to make sure that all that tech is 100% sound. And that's what we're doing right now. So I'm very happy about that. I think the communities should be very happy about that as well. And today, of course, we are getting Tinker tokens. For those of you who contributed to the crowd loan, once again, you guys, I'm assuming, will be, paying attention to the notifications today, letting you all know when that will be available, when you can go forward and do that. I will push that update to the community as soon as it is available. So for those of you who are going to be awake, I know that it's morning for me. I know for a lot of our listeners, it's kind of like afternoon, evening. So for those of you who are unable to stay awake in time for this, because I don't know exactly when it's going to go, I apologize, but as soon as you wake up in the morning, you should have the opportunity to go and claim your Tinker tokens. So very exciting news, guys. I'm freaking pumped as team members. It's just so rewarding to finally be able to reward you guys. I was a little, as the community manager, I will say I was a little like upset that because especially for my ambassadors, you guys were supposed to be like getting rewards as of like November of last year, and we weren't able to give you guys tokens at all. And you guys have just been so faithful and so loyal to the project that was one of the reasons why we did the like Ambassador Tinker exchange, was because I voiced the discontent with like, hey, these guys have been here like for a while. Okay, some of them are new to the embassy regardless, but they are due some reward. And since we're not going to be able to give them the Varch as soon as we'd hoped, let's give them the opportunity to exchange some of it for Tinker. And Mikhail voiced that with me as well, former ambassador, turned into team member, great guy to work with. He really pushed for me that as well, that, he remembers what it was like to be on your all side. I'll put it that way. He remembers what it was like to be an ambassador. He was one of our top ambassadors when he was in the program, and that was like, he was insanely engaged, similar to how our UI UX designer, for those of you who aren't familiar, our UI UX designer at the very, very beginning of the project, we had like a very weird, I can't even remember exactly what it looked like, but it was like a very clunky, I guess to say, website. It was like very blocky, but it was colorful and it was professional. And Yaroslav, our UI UX designer at the time, who was recruited into the ambassador program, literally redesigned the website into just like 3 immaculate art pieces and styles and stuff, and sent it to us just without us asking for it, without us saying anything or him expecting a reward for doing so. He just was like, boom, 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 there you go. Like, this is how I envision your project's website. And we immediately implemented that. And then he was just so incredible with his art, his ability to produce designs that were just, jaw-dropping quality. And he was able to produce them in like less than a day. So he very, very quickly proved himself and earned himself a position on our team. And we recently have had new hires as well. So things have been going great, guys. Especially on the technical side, we have 2 new hires. I keep calling them new hires. They don't really feel like new hires at this point to me. Jake's been with us for over a month now, I think. And Pedros just joined us recently as well. And they're very active. They are very active, very excited, very committed. And with Pedros being our front end developer, we're trying to basically improve the user experience on the website as much as possible. So you guys can expect some pretty sweet updates in the very near future, of course, regarding front end side of things and just how things have been going so far. The team is very, very excited. We're very passionate, and we're pretty bullish on how well things have been developing so far. We're on a very great trajectory, and we owe all of that to you guys, our community members. Like, without your all support, we wouldn't have made it this far. Waking up every day and seeing messages like, hey, like, I love what you guys are doing. We want to see InVarch and TinkerNet become like the true key place of innovation in all of Web3. Seeing things like that, when we haven't even, well, at this point we have existed for a year, but we've been getting those messages for months now. And when we hadn't even existed for a year and we had that outpour of support from our community members, it was refreshing. I will tell you, this is getting a little bit more on the personal side. So coming from a military background myself, I was in the United States Air Force. I loved the camaraderie. I loved waking up every day knowing that I was serving something bigger than myself, a greater purpose, so to say. And then I injured my back and unfortunately left, had to get out of the Air Force early and recovered from my injury. And then for, a year, maybe a year and a half, I kind of drifted around between jobs that were, in my opinion, just totally pointless. And I hated every waking moment of it, to be 100% blunt. So I was searching for purpose, didn't even at the time really know much about blockchain, Web3, or crypto, any of it really. And of all things, when I met our founder and we started communicating, the things that he was talking about to me sounded like true philosophical ideas. Betterment of humanity, not taking advantage of the individual, providing any individual, regardless of where you live, where you're at, what your income is, what your race is, your sex, your gender, your sexual orientation, none of that matters. None of it is relevant. All we need to know is you have a good idea. And if you have that good idea, you can use InVarch and TinkerNet to propel it forward way sooner than you could have on your own and for a lot cheaper, okay? Our projection is that, to mint your intellectual property assets and have, once XCA is done and like fully integrated, fully live, I can't even express how exciting that is going to be. When that is done, people will literally be able to protect their intellectual property right assets for like $1 as projected and have actual protection. And once again, I love stressing this point. I love driving this home. The U.S. government, if you apply for a patent, once again, it's not guaranteed that you will be approved. And like the barrier to entry on this is like $15,000. On top of the fact that if you get approved after spending the $15,000, congratulations. Now you have no protection though. You just have the patent, and it's up to you to pay attention to make sure that your IP doesn't get ripped. The U.S. government does not track this for you. They do not come in front of you and say, hey, slam down a folder. These are all the people who are stealing from your intellectual property. Do you want to go forward with pursuing them in court? They don't do that. It's entirely your responsibility or your lawyers, etc. It's out of the government's hands. They're not helping you with that. They're exploiting you, but they're not helping you. And this is a better solution to that. Intellectual property rights, copyright, licensing, all these things have not been revisited, at least in the United States, since the 1970s. So it's outdated, and it's, in my opinion, useless at this point. It's outdated and it needs change, and that's what we're here to provide. Sorry guys, I just got on a little bit of a rant there because I get pretty passionate talking about this stuff. But for those of you who love that, I would encourage you to join our ambassador program. And what do I mean by that? So we recently had a bunch of updates. So now we have, as it has been for several months, we have term limits in our ambassador program. What does term limits mean? So basically, if you join the ambassador program, you apply on our website, or there's links in our Discord server as well, in the FAQ channel for those of you who don't feel like going to the website but feel like applying. go there. There's links. There's two forms. There's the general application form, which is for an Army member, and there's a core application form. I will tell you that the core application forms, so like if you've been a core ambassador in the past already, like you've done your full 2 terms as a core ambassador, then you can't be a core ambassador again. If you've only done 2 terms in the Army before, and you are a veteran ambassador now, but you never joined the Corps, you are more than welcome to apply to the Corps. If you have never been a part of our ambassador program, you are able to apply to both. However, just keep in mind, once again, the term limits are the same. So basically, if you're on an Army or you're in the Corps, you get 2 terms in either. So you can serve an absolute total of 4 terms in our ambassador program, which is pretty long, considering 1 term is like 2 months. So you can serve a total of 8 months in our program as it stands now. 4 months being an Army member, 4 months being a Corps member if you get selected. Army members are being selected as we speak. For those of you who are eagerly waiting to be recruited, just keep in mind right now we really are trying to just make sure that the individuals who are accepting are legit, they know what they're talking about, that they're passionate. So by all means, if that's you, continue to express your interest in our program. We want you to join it. We want you to pour out your content. We want you to let us know how passionate you are about it. We want you all to join. The reality is, as it stands now, is we have not several, but like a handful of applications that basically we're also like missing context as well. So if you think that maybe your application was like missing context or it wasn't good enough, you aren't able to submit another one once you've submitted one to either or. And if that's you, you feel more than welcome to DM me. Let me know what you think could be changed. Like if you've done more things and you'd like to let me see those things since you submitted your application, you can do that. My DMs are always open. I will not turn you guys away. Sometimes I will be honest, it will take me a while to respond to you guys. Sometimes I get an overwhelming amount of messages. Other times I'm able to get back to you like within 5 minutes. It's really just kind of how my inbox looks at the time and what I'm doing at the time. But I will answer you. That's what I'm getting at. Regardless, you will get an answer. So please, if you are interested in applying, I highly encourage you to do so. One of the most rewarding and also transparent ambassador programs to date. We've been doing things a little bit differently, I would say, than most other networks, being that we started our ambassador program very early on. With just promises and the idea of what InVarge and TinkerNet would become. Sorry, my bad. And here we are. TinkerNet is onboarded as a parachain. We're getting Tinker tokens distributed today for those of you who contributed to the crowd loan. It's coming from where we've been at to where we are now, guys. It's been an incredible time. To go ahead, Joe, I'm just going to go ahead and move on kind of into the next thing. For those of you also, I just want to say we had a Polkadot community call. I'm repping some Polkadot a shirt right now for those of you who are watching the video later on. But we had a Polkadot community call yesterday at the exact same time, 9 a.m., which is what time it is for me now. So I don't know what time that was for you all, but same time yesterday, basically. And Dakota spoke at that, Gabe spoke at that. We had a lot of other very, very important and also very intelligent individuals from the .sama Web3 ecosystem talking. I highly, highly encourage all of you, if you guys missed it, to go back and watch it. Let me see if I can't find it really quick while I'm talking about it. But for those of you who have always wanted to hear one of our GigaBrains, Gabe, talk, he actually spoke yesterday as well, and he gave a very lovely technical breakdown of InVarge as well as TinkerNet, and what you guys can expect moving forward, these types of things. I mean, he did a very, very, very good job, guys, really. So I highly, highly implore you, if you guys missed that, if you didn't have the opportunity to go back and watch it, I just dropped the link in the chat channel for the Envarch Tech Community Lounge, and I highly encourage you guys to go back and watch it. You don't have to watch the whole thing, of course. It's over an hour long, but I will go ahead and tell you we are the second set of speakers. I believe we began speaking about maybe like 10 minutes in or so. If you guys wanted to just skip to where we're talking about Envarch and TinkerNet. If not, I highly encourage you guys to watch the whole thing. There was a lot of good information, a lot of context in there, and just things to be made aware of. As Polkadot members in this ecosystem, I feel like it's our responsibility to encourage parachains, empower each other as parachains, and so that's kind of what I'm telling you guys about right now is with Polkadot. I will tell you, I've never seen, especially in person, meeting some of the individuals from other teams and stuff, the camaraderie in the Dotsama ecosystem, ironically to me, is the same camaraderie I experienced being in the military. And I haven't experienced that, I swear, anywhere else. It's one of the things that I love, getting to talk to you guys every day, getting to hang out with my ambassadors, answer questions, and just like solve problems together with you guys, reward you all as community members, come up with things to do for you guys. I mean, it's truly a blessing and a privilege on my end every day to get to wake up and do what I do, because there's literally not been another career or job like this that was similar to the passion and the camaraderie and the love that I felt for what I did when I was in the Air Force. I have never been able to replicate that until I got this position and I got to know this group of community members. And I tell you, I wouldn't trade it for the world, guys. But for me to move on into our next thing, I would also like to reiterate as well that Udl DAO, they are the first ever piracy-resistant, plagiarism-proof NFTs once XEA is released, of course. Tickets are available now, though, for semi-custom UDLs. They are available for 15 KSM. I highly encourage you guys to join Udl DAO. It's going to be a very fun experiment. It's going to be the first DAO that is going to highlight, showcase the true power and functionality of what Envarch and TinkerNet is and what we can do. So if you guys can spare the KSM, if you guys can afford to get into the DAO, I highly, highly encourage you guys to do it. I'd love to see some of our community members from Envarch get in the DAO and just be able to also share some of the governance features and things like that. If 15 KSM is too much to bite, I totally understand. It's not cheap by any means. Just be 100% aware as well that there will be future UDLs that are not customized, but there will be future UDLs available for only 1 KSM. So for those of you individuals who are wanting to get into the Udl DAO, but the barrier is just a little too high, don't feel like you're going to be left out, because all you'll have to do is just save 1 KSM. If you can get up to 1 KSM, guys, you will be able to buy a Udl in the near future. So just wanted to reiterate that, because the Udl DAO is going to be very, very cool. It's going to be a place with a lot of governance features. I'm not going to share everything that we have planned for it, because that kind of spoils the fun. But I will say it's going to be a DAO unlike any other that you guys have ever been in. So I highly, highly encourage you, if you're able to, go ahead and get one now. If you have to wait until you can only get the ones that are worth 1 KSM, absolutely do that. We want you guys to be part of the DAO. We want the DAO to truly feel like a huge group of people who are passionate about Envarch, TinkerNet, seeing this functionality, and also just kind of coming together in like a true DAO instead of just being in a community. With that being said, guys, does anybody have... Oh, I know. One other thing I wanted to talk about. So for those of you who aren't aware, this is something a little bit more doomy gloomy as far as Web3 goes, but it's kind of ironic at the same time, and it is important to highlight. As some of you guys may know, Tornado Cash, what happened recently with that, there was a developer arrested for basically creating Tornado Cash. It was an open code, basically like repository as far as I understand, and he was allowing individuals to use this, of course. It was estimated, the article that I read was correct, that about 95% of the transactions on this were totally legal transactions, like just peer-to-peer transactions or business-to-business transactions, but they were legal. And that's the important thing to highlight. He was not the one pushing these transactions. Just the thing that he built was allowed to push these. Now, 5%, they estimated, was tied to illegal activity, such as money laundering, etc. Your imagination can kind of do the rest. So basically, as far as I'm aware, the U.S. government sanctioned this individual. I believe he was living if I remember the article correctly, I believe he was living in Germany at the time, and he was Russian-born. So this is an international incident, if you will. And this individual was arrested, his code repository removed, and now multiple individuals across GitHub are experiencing, their whole repository is just being removed, banned. GitHub, unfortunately, is siding with big government, and we're seeing this developer was arrested when he did not commit the crime. He just created the Tornado Cash, and it was individuals using this because their transactions were anonymous. They arrested him as the developer instead of the people actually doing the illegal activity, which I'm sure all of you can understand that is a pretty big moral issue. If an individual isn't actually committing a crime, just the protocol or whatever dApp that he creates is doing illegal activity, how can he be responsible for it? Ironically, while this is a tragedy, the same time that this was all going on was the exact same time that Tinkernet became a reality. And now, INv4Git is the first step in realizing GitArch, which will replace GitHub. The whole point, if you guys have not seen the INv4Git demo, I'm not going to go and grab a video of it. If you guys go on our YouTube channel, Invarch YouTube channel, not mine, you guys can actually see that we posted an INv4Git demo. So you guys can go watch that and experience what it will be like to use this. The CLI interface is there. It's the exact same interaction, the exact same experience the developers are already familiar with inside of Web 2. This is not only significant because it allows developers to start storing their code on chain instead of in a centralized repository that GitHub can just rip from you whenever they feel like. But it allows individuals as well to have, developers love their tools and they don't like changing things that aren't broken. So for those who aren't familiar with Web 3, they're good at Web 2, they want to branch into Web 3, but they don't want to have to deal with the learning curve. They can use this and have the exact same experience they're already familiar with, but be coding in Web 3. That's why this is so significant. For those of you who also aren't aware, this was what we submitted our final milestone for our Web 3 grant on. So very, very happy with it. And the Web 3 Foundation was as well very happy with it as well. We do believe that it will drive mass adoption as well. Once GitArch is fully complete, we see it overtaking GitHub. So this is one of the reasons why I like to highlight too, all these different things that we're kind of doing recently. UtildDAO, we've done the INv4Git demo to realizing GitArch, Tinkernet being onboarded, all these things that are going on right now. I don't like to boast that much, but I will say, if you guys have been paying attention, you will notice that we are constantly building, we are constantly doing things, we're constantly showing progress, and it's not always the case with every project. We like to be very vocal, we like to express what's going on, we like to let our community members know what they can expect from us. So once again, guys, I just appreciate all of you all for supporting us, from day one for our day one supporters to people who just joined us today or maybe even just this week. Regardless of when you joined us, your support means everything to us, and we would like you to know that this community is not just our community as admins and moderators and ambassadors, but it is everyone's community. This is the community server, and everyone here has the opportunity to let their voice be heard. They have the opportunity to talk, engage with other community members, express their thoughts, their concerns, their opinions on everything that we're doing here. And that's what we encourage as well. We don't shy away from those conversations. So for those of you who are excited, once again, I highly encourage individuals to apply for our ambassador program. If you haven't already, but regarding that, I want to open up the floor for just any questions from anybody. If you have anything you want to say, if you can't speak it, that's totally fine. If you want to type it in the Invarcha Tech Community Lounge channel, I'll give this a few moments to go. Anybody has any questions at all, I would like to have them. I will also unmute several individuals who hadn't muted themselves as well, just in case they do have anything they would like to say. Okay, I think that's... No, not yet. Okay. If anybody has any questions, once again, feel free to ask right now. I'm going to give it about a minute longer. And that's basically all the updates that I wanted to provide for you guys this week. Once again, I'd just like to reiterate it as well that next week we will be having the weekly community call, but we will not be having a weekly Wednesday. If you guys have caught the most recent weekly Wednesday, you guys will see that we are going to change into the monthly progress report, and more weekly updates will be dropped in these weekly community calls that I have every Friday at 9 a.m. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's 9 a.m. where I live. So, but all right, guys. I see somebody has a question in the chat channel. They're typing it out. And once again, guys, this has been recorded and will be uploaded. I apologize. Last week when I went to upload it, it literally took over 15 hours to upload. So I really hope that that's not going to be the case with this one, but I will let you guys know as soon as it is uploaded. Thank you, Petros. Thank you as well, Crypto and Wave. I appreciate that. Thank you, Bowser Stacks. Shout out to Chaos DAO as well. I hear your name mentioned all the time by my fellow colleagues who are in Chaos DAO. They love you over there, Bowser. It's a pleasure to see you in the community call. All right, guys. If that's it, if nobody else has any questions, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you once again so much for sticking with me throughout this. I'm not going to lie, guys. I have been having intense stomach pain this whole time. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Once again, I'll be posting this on YouTube, and I will let everyone know when it's uploaded. So thank you all for joining me this Friday morning. No coffee today, just Sprite for an upset stomach. But for those of you who had your coffee and spent to join it with me this morning, I appreciate you guys. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Once again, stay tuned for those of you who contributed to the crowd loan if you want to stay awake. I'm not exactly 100% sure when this article and things will go live today, but today is the day that you all will be able to claim your Tinker tokens if you contributed to the crowd loan. So with that being said, guys, looking forward to all these rewards and an awesome weekend. I will see you all next Friday.